I have come to superimpose and help everybody find their rightful place, their rightful destiny. And if they belong in government, I want to make sure they get there. And not just somebody, the wrong person in it. So this is what we are now seeing take place in 2010. We are seeing the arm of iron, the stubborn, unrelenting arm of iron come forth like never before. The arm of God just superimposing and introducing himself to humanity. We are seeing good. In other words, we are seeing restoration, where things are brought back into balance, where the original order of things are now being put back into place. But nevertheless, we are seeing judgment in the earth as well. And it's where God takes the initiative to superimpose a brutal understanding into the hearts of humanity that he is a God who will oftentimes rule with the rod of iron. In other words, a lethal temperament, a no-nonsense temperament that will not tolerate the wickedness of humanity forever. With that said, let's move on to some other prophecies I want to share with you. And of course, we are in the 21st century. The number 7 means to bring into perfection, completion. When you times 7 by 3, you have the number 21. And what God is saying is that he is now bringing into divine perfection, completion, bringing divine closure to the end of the rule of humanity as we know it. And he's bringing in perfection of a whole new world order, a whole new kingdom agenda. He is taking kingdoms, simply put. He is taking the kingdoms of our world. And no man can stop it. Now let's talk about some of the things that I've observed in the month of May 2010. On the 15th and 16th of May, there was an explosive, just awesome, magical, celebratory spirit that took the earth. It was subtle, but yet it was powerful. It was fresh and unique, unlike anything we'd ever quite seen before. It was filled with hope and magic. It made children want to go outside and run around and play and just enjoy and immerse themselves in it. It made everybody. It brought out the child, it brought out the love, it brought out the celebration in everybody. But then suddenly, on the 17th and 18th of May, we observed just the opposite move. The move that came forth on the 15th and 16th was indeed the move of Jehovah. However, a total opposite to what he did on the 15th and 16th came forth on the 17th and 18th. What did he do? He unleashed his wrath. A plague. Yes, a modern day plague at the hand of Jehovah. Why? Just as I said earlier, he is superimposing his government. He is showing that he's not just a God of goodness, but he is a God of a lethal military disposition when it comes to establishing his new world order, when it comes to establishing what is truth to his legislation in his kingdom and in his courts. He is taking respect. He is inferring a healthy reverence, a fearful reverence upon humanity when he does these things. What did he do exactly? He simply unleashed a nauseous stomach. That's all. He wasn't complicated with it. He unleashed a spirit in the atmosphere that consumed and covered the entire earth. He unleashed legions of angels to assist him in this. And they became as a type of nauseousness to humanity. In other words, you couldn't breathe in too deep because automatically you felt like you were going to throw up. And this thing, this plague God left on the earth, it did not leave. It lingered for well over 48 hours. It was unrelenting all through the night. Now, why did God do that? I just explained a part of it. But another part of it is simply this principle. It's a powerful principle that the church has missed throughout its years. But I've learned this principle through hard knocks and dealing with Jehovah, the great God Jehovah, on a daily basis. I've learned what I've learned from him. And the principle is simply this. He took me back to the scriptures where he said, it pleased me to bruise the Christ when he was on the cross. And he said to me, it pleased him in more than one way. It didn't just please him because he knew that the torment that Christ would go through would eventually bring humanity eternal salvation. He said that was one aspect of the pleasure. But he also said, because vengeance are part of him, it is, in fact, a very integral part of who he is, just like love is. He said there it is that dimension of him that also took pleasure in bruising his son. Because when you bruise, it brings around transition, repentance, and a price was paid in order for something to be released. Jesus Christ could not have attained the crown of King of Kings unless he was willing to pay Jehovah's price. Jehovah's price was that he would have to submit himself to the full depth of his father's own tyranny, his father's own brutality, in order to qualify to become King of Kings and Lord of Lords. In order for sin to be satisfied, there was a demand that sin required. For the wages of sin is death. And in order for there to be a fair trade, there had to be a massive punishment on the other end of the spectrum. So, with that said, I say all of that to make this point. Jehovah told me, anytime, he said, report this to the nations. He said, for the most part, he said, there are times when there's grace, but for the most part, he said, anytime I'm getting ready to do something great for humanity, a great act of benevolence, kindness, allowing my goodness to come and circumvent itself around and about them and play with them and toy with them. He said, there's a price involved in order to attain that opportunity. He said to me, I must pleasure myself